Yeah, I think that's.
She's in that.
I'm not gonna go either.
You probably don't. I make a motion to come out of closed session.
I knew it, I knew just as soon as
Okay.
I knew it.
My wife said if she wants a phone call, she just put it on every time.
That's true.
They made a motion, somebody seconded it, I don't remember. Okay. And so we'll do Murphy? Yep. Pike? Yes. Logan? Yes. No.
Yes.
Okay, we came out of closed session. So, first thing would be to rescind our motion to accept. Yeah. The motion to rescind motion has made and seconded. Logan? Yes. No?
Yes.
Murphy? Yep.
Motion to hire Tim Goble, engineer, second, survey of the property.
Agree with this one.
Tim Goble?
Who made the motion? David?
Yep.
Jason seconded. All right, so no?
Yes.
Murphy? Yes. Pike? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll put it over there. Thank you, gentlemen.
Make a motion to, next up, we are real estate agent, selling that demo.
I'll second that.
Who?
Nick Scott.
Marcio.
Moss. Nick, N-I-C-K-S-T-O-U-T. S-T-O-U-T.
Marcio.
Yeah.
Murphy. Pike.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Wait, I'm missing one. You said no? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion to request low end on north end, east side of Mr. North property, west side of property, and to the south.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Pike.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Yes.
If there's nothing else,
When we got city council will return to regular meeting, is that something that we discussed or they will second Thursday or what's that?
Do we usually second Thursday for the end of the
Summer.
summer? Right? I don't think it, that's fine.
Yes.
I think that's,
second Thursday at 6:30, which is what they.
July 8th, I believe.
July 8th. For the second, will be July 11th. I won't be there.
Now that's a
yeah, no problem.
What do you want to do?
I'll keep it when you, that's your,
We can get by. That work?
I'll put it on there.
I'll be here.
It's like I tell these guys every time we office, if you need something, I'll call you.
So, Ron, what, on Thursday, when is Thursday, we pick up the taxes?
You'll get them by Monday.
Monday the week of the Thursday?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, this time, this is my fault because I wasn't
Oh,
here,
no, I
so.
know.
Yeah, I'll get them to you before.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second, third,
Waller, Nick.
yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Murphy. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, we adjourn. Thank you for everything you do. Available there for everybody to see. On the Pledge of Allegiance. I States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with that, we'll have a roll call. Height? Walden? Miller?
Yes.
Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of May 15th city council meeting minutes. Approve the minutes. Motion's been made and seconded. Height? Walden?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is approve the June 2024 claims.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion made and seconded to approve the claims. Walden?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Murphy?
Public comment? Public comment? Where do I start? How do I go?
If none, at this point in time, we'll move on. First item of new business will be Matt, National Grid Rail.
Hey everyone, everyone get the sheet that Donna provided, and other than having some extras too. I'll pass around the map as well. It just shows kind of the rough project boundary we're working in. The background on it, coloration, you might notice it's the school districts. I'll get to that in a little bit here. But I just wanted to take the time tonight to you're aware that Management Renewals, I'm a developer for the North Fork Wind Farm on this project. And we've been in the area for some time now, a little bit of history on the project. We actually started this back in 2017. We had to put the brakes on a little bit due to the pandemic, supply chains and whatnot, but as of midsummer last year, we're back again, and everyone here, you need to know.
We get here. We're all farmers.
You're all
old farmers.
You're all, I can try to talk a little louder. Is that,
They're old and deaf, you gotta remember.
Air conditioner's doing
Matt, did you meet at the school this?
Yeah, I was, hear me now? All right. So, kind of in an odd spot here, I'll try to gesture to everyone. But, yeah, so back to where I was at, the North Fork Wind Farm, myself and a lot of my team, we've been back on the ground as of August of 2023. We started the re-signing effort as Nebraska has a development period limit of 7 years on their leases. So those came up on their expirations. Since then, we've signed about 45,000 acres, which consists of over 140 landowners within that project area. And that white boundary is about 140, 120,000 acres. We're looking to sign about 60 to 70,000 acres to hit the 600 megawatt mark. And the reason we need to have it so spread out is just because of all the county setbacks that are in place right now, setting back from houses, roads, transmission lines, wetlands, and all sorts of other constraints that we have to take into consideration before we can go forward with building the project. So at this point, we're looking to keep moving forward with the site control process, signing landowners. I think once we're out of the planning season now, coming to the end of it, we're going to have a bigger push over the summer. We're going to have more landowner events, and that's a big portion of what we're doing here in the community as well too. And why I'm here tonight is just to introduce ourselves, the company, the project, and so you guys can have a point of contact if you have any questions. If any of your constituents have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. But to get to the fact sheet here, so, well, actually I'll back up. If everything goes to schedule, timeline-wise, this project will be, like I said, 600 megawatts, and that'll consist of 130 to 150 wind towers, which sounds like a lot, but each wind tower and its access road takes up only 1 acre of land. So we're looking at taking out 150 acres of land out of production out of the 60 to 70,000 acres that are actually leased. And the reason we need to lease so much acres is just because the connectivity, each wind tower will have an underground electrical collector line that runs from the wind tower to transfer the electricity to a centralized substation onto the transmission line and eventually to the grid. So if everything goes to schedule, we're looking to wrap up site control, continue with our environmental surveys. I don't know if anyone remembers back in March, there was a helicopter flying over That was actually a consultant of ours. They were looking for avian bird nests, so they did identify a few eagle nests, and we do have to set back from those. They're also looking for birds, bats, and bugs. We have some bat acoustic monitors hung up on some meteorological towers that we just recently put up. So there's all sorts of environmental studies that we're doing underway right now. But once we hit that 60 to 70,000 acres, we'll start the engineering process where we'll have a team coming out, taking soil borings, water samples, water depth samples, so we really understand what's the subsurface is looking like, because we can't construct a wind tower without knowing what the soil type is, where the bedrock's at, what the water table level is at too. Once that's complete, the construction phase will start at sometime in 2026, and for a project of this size, it will take about 2 years. So when it's all said and done, the wind turbine will be spinning by 2027 or 2028. Big reason I wanted to come here tonight is explain some of the benefits that will come from this project. Now, if you're not a direct landowner, you wouldn't be receiving the payments from our company, but if you look to the fact sheet, this is really what's a breakdown on what some of the benefits will be. So like I said, this construction process will take 2 years. That's going to consist of about 300 to 500 construction workers coming in throughout that duration, and which means each community here, Crofton, Bloomfield, Wausau, Cretan, and everyone around, every business owner will be seeing an uptick in revenue and just more business, essentially. You know, these people are going to be needing places to stay, places to eat, places to go to bars, hardware stores, auto repair stores, you name it. Once it's all said and done and the wind farm's operational, it'll take about 10 to 20 full-time jobs to operate this wind farm. And in the past, so we have wind farms in South Dakota, Illinois, and a few other places, and I've talked to these operations managers, and they're actually from the area, which is what we typically try to do as well. So when I was actually presenting at Crofton High School, we partnered with Northeast Community College, since they do have a wind technician program. So that's a good opportunity for us to, you know, talk to these high schoolers, and if they do have an interest in moving into wind farms, operations, maintenance, that's a path they can choose to go down. So this means that kids that would otherwise have to move away, they can stay here, buy homes, start families, and you have job security for at least 20 years or however long the wind farm will be operational. In addition to that, like I mentioned, the landowner payments for 60 to 70,000 acres, we pay on a per acre basis as well as a megawatt generated basis. So we estimate to pay over $116 million over the 20-year period, which is the first operational period of the wind farm. It can go longer. It could go up to 50 years, essentially. That's about the lifespan of a wind tower. But that $116 million, that means it's a secondary source of income for farmers. It's an early retirement. It means they can buy new equipment and ultimately stimulate the economy in the area, too. Something that's unique to National Grid Renewables is at the top here, we have a charitable fund. And the reason we start a charitable fund is because a lot of times the tax revenue might not go, or a lot of people want it to go, or they don't have a say in where it goes. So for a project of this size, we're planning to donate $150,000 annually, which will total to $3 million over 20 years. And what we do is we'll elect a board of chairmen that will kind of represent this charitable fund. And these people will be from the communities, landowners themselves will ultimately be a part of the project. So they can choose where this money goes, whether that be a new playground, fixing the 4-H building, or maybe fixing a bridge that's been in disrepair for a while. It's ultimately up to them, putting the choice in their hands. Now, to go to the pie section area, this is the tax revenue breakdown. Something unique to Nebraska, they have something that's called the nameplate capacity tax. This is for renewable energy projects, so solar, wind, battery storage, and all those other things. What this does is supplements personal property tax. And this is actually a good thing because personal property tax, it'll depreciate after about 5 years. So if you have this large revenue coming through and after 5 years it kind of tanks off, it's hard to plan for that from a development standpoint. So the nameplate capacity tax, how it operates is that we pay $3,518 per megawatt annually. So that's $3,518 times the 600 megawatts per year. So over the 20-year period, that's going to be totaling to about, I think it's $48 million or $42 million, excuse me. So that would be on the pie chart. If you look at the sections in blue and green, all comes from the nameplate capacity tax. And the reason we have this pie chart is that a large portion of this will go to the school district. So the portion in blue, the $25 million, will be broken out into the school districts. And that's why I gave out the map as well to show we're predominantly in the Crofton, Bloomfield, Wausau, a little bit of Cretan school districts too. So it'll be roughly an even split. Ultimately, the money will go where the turbine locations are within each school district. But the remainder of that, so another $16.8 million over that 20-year period will go to other taxing districts as well, such as fire districts, natural resource districts, and to the county itself. And it's important to note two things about the nameplate capacity taxes. One, it does not supplement state aid, so you'll still get the same amount of state aid as well. And two, that it is, I think I already said this one, it does not, or it supplements the personal property taxes. And none of this goes to the state as well. It'll go to the Nebraska Department of Revenue. All of it gets funneled back to the county itself, so none of it goes directly to the state. And then the last chunk of the pie chart is the real property taxes. It'll be roughly $14 million, and that's from the tower foundations, roads, operation and maintenance buildings, everything that's not the actual wind farm itself. So, all in all, $231 million will be generated from this project. I know it's a large project, but it brings a lot of benefits to the community as well too. In addition to economic benefits, something that is really important to National Grid Renewables is getting involved in the communities and allowing people to get to know us, because we do want to get to know the communities as well too. So I'll just give a few examples of what we've been doing in the past. As he mentioned, we were at the Crofton High School as well as the Bloomfield High School. We partnered with the Northeast Community College to give a presentation on how wind farms work, how the electricity is generated, renewable energy, our project a little bit, and also career paths within the wind farm industry as well too. And as part of that, our company decided to donate benches to the Crofton and Bloomfield High Schools as well too. And it's something that's unique about these benches is that they're actually made from recycled wind turbine blades, because that's a big question a lot of people have is what happens to these wind towers when it's all said and done? You know, did they go to the landfill? So there's a lot of different options nowadays. There's a lot of new technologies rising, such as recycling them into these furnitures, or some other examples is breaking down the fiberglass and putting it into concrete to supplement the rebar within it too. So that's something we're very conscious of, and something that we want to be proactive about and promote the awareness about it too. So those were, it was pretty fun for us. It was pretty fun for me to get in front of a bunch of high schoolers. I don't think I've done that since my high school days, so it's been a while. But some other things we've been doing as well too. So we're in front of you now. We've been in front of the Bloomfield City Council as well as I was at the Wausau Village Council last week too. But we'd also like to do some donation opportunities. So we'd actually donated to the Bloomfield Ambulance fundraiser since when you walk into the City Hall, they have the huge thermometer you can see on their City Hall, so we thought that would be a good idea. That was a little bit more personal to me. My dad started his career as an EMT and worked his way to the police department, so it was cool for me to be able to give back and talk to my dad about that one. We're actually looking to partner with the Crofton EMT and fire as well too. I think it's going to be July 16th. I've been talking to Ryan over at the insurance. Is it Family and Town Insurance, I believe? Okay, kind of right. Town and Country, there we go. So I think that's going to be on July 16th, so we'll be donating $5,000, and I think he said it's going to go to a new alarm system in the city as well too. It might have been a side-by-side that's going to be from one of the remote locations, but I'll leave the decision up to them. So that's something we're looking forward to. We're going to actually bring out a catering. It's going to be Chips Barbecue from Wausau to have a catering event for them as well too. So if you're in the area, feel free to stop by. We'll continue to have more events for landowners and folks as well too. Something that we just opened up actually is our office down in Wausau. It's the old Viking lumber building. We had the grand opening last week. Some folks from the Hive in Bloomfield helped us provide coffee and pastries, and Deb from the Hive, she actually helped us decorate the interior, since apparently it's not my forte. So we're looking for more ways to get involved in the communities. So that's where I look to you if you have any recommendations for us. You know, I'm from Minnesota myself, but I drive down here just about every single week. We have a team of land agents on the ground that are working with the landowners. People from my company as well. We have a community engagement coordinator, permitting specialist. We all come down here. We all enjoy our time down here. So we're looking forward to getting to know you a little bit more. I know this is a little bit long-winded, so I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
These towers, North Fork,
Yep.
are they going to be the same height as what we have out?
So these ones will be a little bit taller. We're going to be about 200 feet taller, I believe, maybe a little bit less. The reason for that is that technology with solar and wind has just been steadily increasing. So I believe those wind farms were put in about 14 and 8 years ago. I think there's 2 separate ones. And the reason you're going higher is for a few reasons. One is that there's a higher consistent wind speed up high, and you're capturing more energy as well too. So from a megawatt perspective, those ones I believe are 1.8 to 2.2 megawatts. The ones we're looking at are 3.8 to 4.5 megawatts. And to put that in perspective, 600 megawatts will generate enough electricity to power about, I think it's about 150,000 homes a year. We can't say exactly where the power will go. It will go to likely Nebraska Public Power District or something similar, and it'll get distributed amongst the grid at that point too.
When you're going up 200 feet higher, I mean, the blade's got to be that much, and it's coming down about the same length as the blades are now.
Nope, it'll be a little bit higher as well too. So when I say it's getting a lot higher, 200 feet, that's what we call from the base to the top of the tip height. So if the blade's facing straight upward, the actual hub where the nose is, that's probably getting, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 feet higher. The blades are just getting longer. What's it?
The ones that are out there now, maybe 50 to 100 feet higher than that.
Yes. So with the wind turbines getting bigger too, that means we spread them out more. So the predominant wind direction in this area is north to south. We'll have them spread out about a mile apart, north to south. And then from east to west, about a quarter mile to a half mile. So they won't be as on top of each other, they'll be much more spread apart. And the nice thing about the bigger ones is that the blades actually spin more slowly, which means the noise level will be less. And the technology, like I said, has been increasing so consistently that they actually have done a lot to reduce the noise in other ways. For one, the generator, it spins a lot more smoothly. Two is that at the end of the blades, they actually make a serration on it to cut through the wind more quietly as well too.
And no lights until there's something to have a light for. The lights are on continuously anymore.
Yep, that's a good point. It's an ADLS, aircraft detection lighting system. This is actually something that's been implemented by Nebraska state law, and we're happy to comply with it too. So essentially what happens is we'll have two radars on the north and south end of the project, and every time the plane flies over, that's when the lights will start flashing. So it's not going to be all night long. Nope, yes, only when the plane's overhead, and I think it's within, I want to say, a 5 mile distance to the wind farm. I'd have to double check on that. So it's a pretty confined radius of when they'll actually start flashing.
You didn't think I was listening to you.
You did. I wasn't sure. I know it must have been after lunchtime.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, well, I can leave a stack of cards for myself too. If you do have questions, if anyone else has questions, feel free to give me a call. Like I said, we have a project office. It's open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'd love to have anyone from any of the communities come in and chat with us. That's part of my job. I want to get to know everybody. I want to get to know the community as well too. So part of my job is to make sure we're as transparent as possible. That's something that's very important to me and our company, is that we make sure that everyone's on the same page. We're not going to do anything that's behind closed doors. We treat landowners very equally. There's no different payments amongst different folks. It's all equal and it's all transparent. But with that, just thank you, and I'm glad to be here, and I hope everyone got to enjoy some of the weather today. It's beautiful out.
So those things will be at the Viking over, right?
Yep.
And if people have questions, do we refer them to this number?
Give me a call, actually. That was too, we'll go to our main office and it'll be corrected me, but I'll just go through.
I have one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to guard? I got plenty of that.
And the public relations lady that was with you the other day, what is her name?
Bailey. It's up to you.
I gotta tell all this. Can we have public comment now?
Most of you guys know me, I'm Margaret Hookstein, and I worked with this project since 2009 was when they first contacted me. It was a different company. Power in there.
Oh, if I can hear.
I hear you.
Anyway, it was a different company that contacted me to put on a couple of farms that I manage. They wanted to put Met towers. So that's how it kind of started. And then it went on for a while. And I don't know just when Geronimo and
2016.
when you guys bought out, I think it was the same outfit that was in Bloomfield that had me start that. Anyway, and they were good, but I'm gonna tell you that what I've seen business-wise from this company is very impressive. I mean, I've done land trades up in Minnesota that had windmill leases on them and everything. I never ran into them, and even down by Meadow Grove and all over. I've never ran into them that was should I say, operator or landowner and community friendly as much as these guys are. So, I mean, that's not because they're here now, but I've done a number of them and been with a number of them. And that's been pretty impressive to me, what they've done. I let those windmill people use my office all them years. I never charged them nothing. I said, okay, this project will benefit our school districts and our communities. And I said, no, just come in and use my copy machine. I give you guys keys and they come to my office just like it's their own. And now they have moved into a bigger, because I didn't have enough room for what's going on. But anyway, they just, last week or so, they moved into the old lumber yard in Wausau. And it's, they needed to do that. But anyway, it's been really good working with them, and as conscientious as they are about communities and everything, it's really impressive to me. So I just want to tell you that. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We got another guy who wants to talk right here. Yeah, you want to talk right up there.
I just, all I'm saying is, you know, I'm sure they're probably here to ask for your support, things like that, and I've been working with them a little bit too. They stuck up a tower on our place there to measure the wind for the next couple of years. Good outfit, I think, and their plan, from what I get out of it, is far the best. I mean, they pay, you know, for transmission. They share a lot of the things. It isn't just payments to one or two people, you know. And from what I see, they have a good project going, I think. And I guess hopefully that same thing, they put up a monitoring tower on our farm there. They needed one on this end to measure the wind for the next couple of years, and I fully supported it. Hopefully, if the wind blows enough up here, which it usually does, so that they'll kind of have one this end, because I always thought, well, this is gonna end up towards Norfolk or whatever. Well, they're gonna be closer there, but it sounds like they wanna kind of work with everybody, so I just hopefully give them their support.
Thank you.
Can I talk?
You're welcome to.
Okay, the big deal here is that we went to the county zoning meeting night before last.
Tuesday night, yeah.
And the county zoning board, the way I understand, makes a recommendation to the county board of supervisors as to what they think the public wants. And what they came up with was a 1.25 mile setback, which basically eliminates the windmill project in this area. So they're gonna go, the way I understand it, they're gonna go to the county board of supervisors. I was thinking there was gonna be a couple of board of supervisors here tonight, to recommend to them that they have a 1.25 mile setback, which then basically kicks the windmill out. And I'm here to tell you that the windmills are no different than any other thing, any different than irrigation or solar power projects. Those are all economic development situations that bring money into the community, basically at no cost. Don't cost anybody here to have them come in. There's a lot of opposition because of flicker, because of noise. They've already talked about the noise, they've already talked about the flicker. And so I'm here to say, I'd like a couple windmills. I'm selfish, I want some. But I also think that it is a low capital investment for the local community, the local farmers, because it's no different than water. The water's running under some farms, and that farmer can dig down and grab the water. Really ain't his water, but he can dig down and get it because it's below him at the moment. Well, the wind's blowing over my head, and I want to reach up and grab it. And unlike Terry, it's really windy here, most all the time. So I'm here to tell you that I would ask for a petition board, the council, to at least look at the option of making an announcement that you're in favor of a project because of what it'll do for profit, what it'll do for the fire department, what it'll do for the school, and what it'll do for the local farm. I know we have to address the issues of nobody wants a hog barn on the corner of their land. Nobody wants a windmill when they look out their kitchen window. But if you get to that point, then Elvis will go back to living in a cabin on a lake somewhere. And that's not where we're at. You know, we're in a farming community. So, okay, that's my 2 bits. Mark, you're up.
I'm Mark Peck, and Larry Pikes and our classmates, just don't hold that against me.
Will you please sit down? That's okay, Mark.
Roger just mentioned a little bit about the planning and zoning meeting where there was a lot of protests there, or some protests there. And I'd like to remind you guys, and I want to do this with the supervisors too, there's no form of energy that hasn't been protested. Stop and think about that. Let's jump over to nuclear. Nuclear's been protested all over the place. Some people say that is the most efficient form of producing electricity, but talk about a protest. Let's talk about putting a nuclear plant out here. Boy, we'll have protests in the wind. Hydroelectric power. I can testify for myself and my family. When Gavin's Point Dam went in, there was a lot of protests that went on. If you go all the way up the Missouri River on the main stem dams, there was a lot of protests that went in for that hydroelectric power. And as those power lines go out across the property, pipe arm around them, and I'm glad to have electricity. The wind towers is pretty protested. And just another form of another group of people that are protesting the wind towers, they're protesting. Think about the coal-fired plants. It looks like we're going to get them shut down. There's a lot of concern about the unclean air and all that goes on there. A lot of protests that go on there. I had a fellow, a lady and a guy that was at our place here a couple weeks ago from Virginia, and he says, "What about natural gas?" He said, "There's a lot of natural gas out there." That's a good idea. But who wants a natural gas pipeline going through their property? And there's some that go through that do that. But there's protests. So I think sometimes boards and people get all hung up over, well, somebody's protesting it, so we shouldn't do this. Every form of energy has been protested. The thing I see, and I'd like to have Terry talk a little more about this, but we need energy. With our coal plants getting closed down or slowed down, our nuclear plants slowing down or shutting down, what is going to produce energy that runs these lights? You can hear a fan running over here. What's going to produce that fan running? You know, we need to be looking forward to what is it going to take to produce electricity that we need. Wind energy isn't the perfect form, but it is a form that is usable, that we have abundant supply of wind right here, and it's something that we can utilize. It can make a difference. It's not something I hang my hat on solely. I'd like to see other forms of energy developed and maintained, but certainly it needs to be used. And so I'm concerned when I see people all up in arms protesting. They don't want to see that tower. They don't want to hear the whoosh. You know, as the fellow mentioned, they're going to be, the towers will be farther apart. I like that idea. I've been in other states where they're just clustered all over. See a tower here, another tower farther away. I like that idea. And one of the other things, I was on the planning and zoning board in Knox County for 10 years. I was there when they put the first wind towers in. And I remember one hot July day when they were actually doing the project, working the project, some of the supervisors and some of the planning and zoning people were invited to go on a tour and see, and we could see just a hole in the ground. All the rebar was massive, all the rebar that was there. The hole was at that narrow big, you know, and the big bolts that came up out of there, and all the way, they didn't have one that had the blades all the way up yet, but they had the tower all the way up in the generator up there. And it was just interesting walking through, looking at the different stages as we drove from tower to tower and seeing what the stages were. I got pictures of it. It was very fascinating. But as we met out there by Bloomfield, north of Bloomfield, at the substation, and they had a project manager there from Pennsylvania. He was the one that was in charge of getting this whole thing moving and going and up. And my question to him was questions that I hear from time to time as I talk to people, and you might have heard of some of them. But And I don't remember, what was the timeframe, how long a term is this project? 20 years?
20 years.
20 years. And that was his case. He said, I said, how long a term is this project? And he said, 20 years. Well, that was 12 to 18 years ago, you know, and Larry will say, boy, those years have rolled by pretty fast since we went through high school in 1975. So my question to him then is, what happens after 20 years? And that's a very good question to ask. And his answer was very true and honest. He says, I don't know. He says, what I can tell you, that this bridge here where those towers were going in, and much like where these folks want to go in now, has some of the best wind in the area, and it's been in northern Nebraska. He said, whether sometime after 20 years they'll tear the towers down, put another tower up, whether they'll retrofit them with a different generator, or what they'll do retrofitting, whatever they might do, his opinion was they are going to use this long beyond 20 years. And so I've had people say, what happens after 20 years? They just walk away and leave them? You know, and how much is this going to cost to put this project in?
Oh, 500 million maybe, yeah.
$500 million. So you invest $500 million out here, somebody's going to come and get it, aren't they? If they walked away from it, there's going to be another guy that's going to come and take it over. And I use the example of International Harvester going under, and Case bought them out, and now it's Case IH. You know, if there's value there, and you got $500 million sunk in the ground, it's not just the tower you see, it's all the lines that go through, right? You got all that money invested there. If they decide we're done, somebody else is going to take it over. They're not going to leave that much money sitting out there. It's not like some old barn sitting out here and somebody walks away and it just falls down. So there's concerns that people throw out, and that's one of them that I hear, is what happens after 20 years. And I think that there's a lot of, when you look at $500 million being invested there, 20 years from now, somebody's going to be operating it. Whether this company is there and retrofits them and does some other things to it to make it viable for the next 20 years, but somebody is going to be using it. And I don't think that should be a concern of, you know, that thing that's going to get left here and we're going to be stuck with it. Just recently I was listening on the radio, yesterday actually, Texas was talking about they're concerned about their need of power and their lack of power. And as they go into this summer, they're saying, we may have some brownouts. And they're looking at natural gas plants. And so there's a concern of where is this power going to come from? And then I also heard about California's, they're concerned about their brownouts, and they've been having brownouts. And so I come back and say, even if you're not a wind tower person, we got to have power. We got to have electricity. Here's a company that's coming and saying, we want to come and invest an incredible amount of money here. We're going to pay people, if we site a tower on their land, we want to give back to the community, and we are going to produce power that's going to go on the grid. And Terry mentioned to me one time, if I'm out of line, you tell me, but that you guys, Terry was Cedar Knox, that you guys actually sold power. And so it made money for the company, for the power company.
Absolutely. That's why.
So if we can produce power here, even if we don't use it all, it's not just like gone. So to me, it's exciting that we can sell this power. This is a commodity that our community can sell that's going to benefit our community back here. And so I personally want to see our power companies as strong as they can be, because I need that power. I need that to heat my cattle waters in the winter. I need it to run water to them in the summer. I need water. I need electricity to get the lights on in my house and my heater running in the wintertime. I need the power to get my tractor started up so that they're heated up in the wintertime. And we need that power. And it's a concern of mine. It should be a concern of everybody when we see these coal plants getting shut down, that where is our power going to come from? It's not just going to go on somewhere. These companies are going to have to find power. And so I think I would encourage your support to see that there's power available here, and that there's power available to Cedar Knox, there's power to NPPD. It's to our benefit, each one, whether you're living in town or you're living out in the country. And finally, I see some of this, I wonder if there's a green energy pushback. that people just don't like the idea of green energy. They don't like the current administration. And so there's a little bit of politics involved in this, and it's like, bottom line is, when it's getting cold and my house doesn't have power, I want power. I don't care if it's by his wind towers, or if it's by somebody's coal plant, or somebody's nuclear plant, I want power. And so here's a fellow that's coming and saying, I want to produce power, and I want to put up some big towers, and how many towers?
150 up to.
150 towers. I like hearing that they're going to have energy out there for us to use in the future. And so I would strongly encourage your support. I'd strongly encourage your talking to like the supervisors who will have the final say on what happens here. But just think about, where does my power come and will it continue to be there?
You talked earlier about resistance of all these things that are going on. Is there resistance on this project alone, or have you started people negative of what's happening here?
Yeah, and that's basically why the setback has been changed. The Planning Commission has decided to move the setback to 1.25 miles because of the protests that has gone on. Now, again, as I talked about protesting energy, I dare say there was more people there for the towers, weren't there, than there was against. But they had to put enough pressure on to get the Planning Commission to change them, and I don't remember, what was the setback now?
It's 2,000 feet.
2,000 feet?
They're trying to change it to 1.25.
So it had been at about 2,000 feet. I'd forgotten. I've been off the board for a while. but as you know, a couple thousand feet or so. But they gotten it changed, and basically it just kills the project. It's not like, well, we'll work around the 1.25 miles. That ain't gonna happen. You aren't gonna get towers situated. So the protest has started. It's there. It's active, and they've gotten past the first hurdle.
In this area that we're talking about already, has started a protest already?
Yep, for Knox County. And so what the Planning Commission is now recommending will go before the supervisors, and that will be, if the supervisors give that okay, that will go into the comprehensive plan, that now this will be the guideline that any wind projects that come into Knox County will have to abide by. Now the supervisors can say no, and they have in the past other proposals, and come back and say, you're too stringent, you know, you need to lighten up some of those setbacks, you need to change some of this. But they need to hear from you folks that you believe this is a good project. So, any other questions? I hope you agree here.
The setback just on windmills?
In this case, they're dealing with just the windmills. They have setbacks on cattle barns, hog barns.
Would that 1.5 mile setback affect the cattle barn?
Nope. This will
So they
be
pick and
only,
choose what they want to set back?
yeah, this will only be for, and it is the strongest setback in Knox County's regulations.
But they can just pick what they can see.
But I mean, when it comes to any livestock enterprise or any other enterprise out there, this is the largest setback, by far, the largest setback out there of any of the other entities. Yeah.
Matt, if not here, I mean, if this won't work and the advisors say it's infeasible setback wise, what's your next option? I mean, somebody's obviously gonna have windmills, right? Somewhere along the line, we need to have this project work. If it can't work here, what do? Where do you go?
Essentially, if this setback went through, you would not have a wind farm ever developed in Knox County. There's no way around it. You know, if you look out in the countryside, there's be a house every single mile. And unless you sign up virtually every single house, which is virtually impossible, it's going to eat you up. And just to put it in frame of reference, 2,000 feet setback, that takes up 288 acres. So the person has the control of 280 acres around them. 1.25 miles is 3,200 acres. So one person gets to decide 3,200 acres. And if your neighbor next door says no, that means people 1.25 miles away within cannot have a tower. So thank you for bringing that up. I thought it was mentioned that you guys have been working with the county quite a bit. It's it's been a process, we've been trying to reach out to them. As much as we'd like to think that we can provide the technical expertise if they ask, but there's not been much back and forth, unfortunately. And the opposition has been making quite a bit of noise down in the Wausau area especially, so it's something that we're working on, it's something that, we'd ask you, if you do have support, please voice it, because otherwise, if it goes to the Board of Supervisors and they accept it, we would have to pull out. And all the money that we have invested in it would go down the drain, essentially.
Well, a $500 million investment is gonna happen somewhere in windmills and the setback may, would it not happen?
It would not. We'd have to move, and it would be, it would hurt our company, definitely, from where we're at right now. We haven't invested the full amount yet, but as we're working through this process, there's multiple studies we have to do for the interconnection process, for example. We have to put down millions of dollars to exceed through this 5-year study. And each step farther that you get, you have to put down more and more money. And then the less you get back as well, too. It's kind of it's a long process, and it's a very drawn out one, too. There's a lot of investment that goes into it. So it would be really hard for us, and especially just because we've been with this project. Barbara's been with us since 2016, 2017 as well. So to see it change now would be really unfortunate to see as we're so far in the development process too. So,
Thank you.
So how many meetings do you guys
at council meetings,
council,
I've been to,
are we talking 25, 50 meetings already?
let's see, myself, I've probably been at over a dozen, or we've hosted over a dozen. We've been to the council meetings, we've been to the high schools as well. We're trying to work with Wausau, but they're not letting us present there, unfortunately.
I mean, what is your consensus of what you went to these meetings? Does it sound positive?
Bloomfield is positive. I think it's mostly folks in Wausau that are not for it, or some folks, I should say. I can't speak for everyone. There are a lot of people on the fence, and like I said, there's over 140 families signed up for it. A lot of them, support us. A lot of them just don't have the time to come out to these public hearings in the evening and voice their support as well too.
There's one thing that I can see, if the lights go off, people are gonna holler. We have snowstorms, and Terry Thunker, he knows it too. The lights go off, we got lights within a few minutes and lights come back on. This is about the same thing you guys are saying. If things go ahead, you guys are still gonna have power. That's gonna be supplemented.
Yep.
So I think it's a great idea myself.
Thank you. Everyone that supports it, we really thank you. I think at this point, we like to treat this project, yes, we're the developers, but it's more of a community project than anything else. You're the ones that live here, you're the ones that work with us on it, being very nice and welcoming us into your communities, but we can't keep just saying, we're for the project because we're the developers, we're not the taxpayers. If it comes from the people within the county, if it comes from the elected officials, that'll go a lot further than what we can say. And I can say it until I'm red in the face, it'll be good for the communities, but it only goes so far.
Quick comment, if you don't mind, a little bit to Mark's point there. EPA, I know, not President Vice President of the Cedar Knox, I would meeting the other day. EPA come out with some new rules, which lately, and already, our PCA has already filed suit against the EPA, so it's everything we big fights. But by 2032, the coal plants supposed to be starting to shut down. By 2039, they want them off. And I can tell you, like we have Gerald Denman out there, and that's one of the most efficient plants in the country. If you're looking at nuclear, you're looking at a minimum of 27 years from you start today to get the permits and get it built. Minimum 27 years. So, I mean, they're making it really, really tough. Of course, one thing I will say about Lynn, because our motto, we have the word reliability. And that's one thing I will say with coal and nuclear. Reliability is a big deal for us. And I guess the wind project to me will help us be there. Talked about shortages, 5, which is just to the west of us, actually, Cedar Rocks, I think we have 5 meters in zone 5. And 2 years ago, crossing was on the verge of being shut off for a while, every hour, 2 hours. Hardington, Creighton, a bunch of them did get shut off. So, we actually sell, Nebraska Public Power does have excess power, but you have a hard time getting it up into that region, just because of, you know, build big transmission and that kind of big funds. But, natural gas is okay, so like the price goes up, the price of electricity jumps. And I'm just gonna say right now, like Cedar Knox, we have not taken a raise in 8 years in our rates. Just gonna warn you, we'll be looking at next year having to take, and a lot of that's due to just cost, transformers, machines, you know, we got employees, just the whole gamut. You know, our expenses have just gone up tremendous, just like everything. They're just, I just will give you words. Yeah, so you can start hollering at me or whatever, but there will be a, likely probably a slight raise this year. So that's just to clarify a few of those things on the power. So
Thank you guys for
I'd
speaking.
just like to add a little bit, you know,
yeah,
all of our communities,
yeah,
can survive. You know, if we lose our farmers or families, it's pretty hard for them to survive. And I've been in business 49 years in Wausau. And I take a lot of pride in all the farms that I helped people keep through the 80s and everything. And even later than that, I've done a lot of them. I didn't always go out and sell their farm. I usually asked them what they want to do when all the pressure was on them and stuff. But we need to keep our families here, to have our schools and our communities to survive. And even if you don't get a wind tower and you're out here, let's just say somebody's got a quarter section or half section of land, which is kind of small in this world today. It was pretty good when I started. But if you have that and you get an injection of income from that family's going to be able to survive.
Sure.
And that's
Thank
kind
you
of,
thank you.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I looked at it all the while I was helping work with getting this going, is that's kind of what, whether it's Crofton, Wausau, Bloomfield, Creighton, or whatever community, rural community you have like that, they all have that need of something to come in that they don't have to lay out, the individual don't lay out a bunch of money. And whether they have a wind tower or not, when the thing is operable, I believe if you're in that area, if you're signed up in that area, you'll receive $30 an acre every year on your land that's signed up in the program. So it'll help an awful lot of people, so.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for
Very much.
coming.
Okay, there is a, interested in their letter of support. I don't know if we need a motion to do that, or?
We did a motion for, but,
There's a letter in here.
no.
I appreciate what they're saying, and I feel like everybody's entitled to their opinion personally, but I don't know as a board if we really need to weigh in on it. We're not a decision-making board when it comes to the county. So I'm not sure if at this point we need to say, I mean, we do have letters of disagreement as well, and this isn't really a city issue. I mean, I do admit that the city would use electricity, but I don't know if we get our electricity from you guys or not. And,
we don't, Cedar Knox does not, we
right.
don't buy power.
So,
from
I mean,
anybody.
there's no doubt that
We just distribute.
all forms of electricity plants are protested, I have no doubt about that. I just am not sure if we need to weigh in on it.
Going to the grid.
I feel like, Larry, if you want to go out and advocate.
We're just giving them a letter of support that we endorse what they're gonna start here. That's all it's gonna be. We're gonna give them a letter of endorsement. I think it's a
Support
great idea
them.
myself. I really do.
Yeah, I agree that you're welcome to go out in the community and tell people that you think it's a great idea, but I don't know, as a city council board that we need to weigh in on it?
There's no difference in the water issue. We didn't support that. We didn't sign off on that.
And that does directly affect Crofton and our citizens, because that was our water source.
You know, I think what the county zoning board is doing is atrocious as far as doing a setback that far. And how they can just handpick what they want to set back. That to me is appalling. And it's clear, I was reading the letter from Mr. Lammers here, you know, they're talking about, you can see them from miles away, yeah. So, what's the difference in a half mile away or 10 miles away, you still see it. So why do a setback on something like that? That to me is, I think the best course would be to visit with the board, you know, whoever proposes or agrees with the visit with the board. I personally plan to talk to Marty O'Connor tomorrow. But I was not aware of this project. This is the first I've heard of this project. I should agree.
But I feel like if we were working on a city issue, like say we're working on our new sewer, well then the county writes a letter of support or
It doesn't-
against our project, I'm not sure.
It doesn't, and I agree with
They
Bob,
need to
if
stay in
they
our
don't build
lane.
it here, they're gonna build it somewhere else. It's inevitable, it doesn't matter where you drive, there's windmills everywhere. The amount of money it generates for the community.
It would help all the communities out here.
I'd be curious how much Crofton School District would get, just Crofton School District.
Do people typically move to the community, or do they stay in the hotels and travel, like one of the parents stays in a hotel at Yankton?
Construction workers, they would typically be staying in the hotels, you know, some could choose to move here if they want to get, operational workers, we would typically see folks staying, you know, there could be folks that are on the maintenance, you know, on the ground every single day, they'd like to be living in communities. There's also folks that would perform maintenance, replace the lubricating oil, that could be traveling, that goes from wind farm to wind farm. You know. But the operations team would likely be somewhere in the area, I wouldn't imagine they want to drive into work every day from, late sometime.
It's odd that the lumberyard in Wausau is your headquarters. So Wausau, the community, is directly benefiting from the process, and they have the highest degree of opposition.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason we wanted to choose the office, and it was right down the street from our old office as well, so it was easy to move, but also we wanted to literally open the doors for folks to come and talk to us. I think that's the biggest thing, is that they have all these notions and maybe misguided information about wind farms and have some concerns about too, that could be based as well too. And we would just hope they would come and talk to us. That's why we want to get our message out there, that people are aware of the wind farm, and people are aware. We actually sent postcards to the entire eastern portion of the county, just to invite them to come in to our office and talk. So,
But took a building that was vacant, right? Not a productive part of the community, and you activated, regenerated it in this process, right?
if the wind farm keeps going through, the 1.25 mile setback does not stand, we would be there for at least 3 years.
Mike, to add, one thing I find ironic about, you've been well received in Bloomfield, right? That's where the towers are at right now. That's where they're benefiting. Wausau has had nothing to do with those towers. Fear factor. So you say, if Bloomfield is getting along fine with them, does that not tell you that there's some history that's already been created? Wausau just doesn't know about them.
That's true.
Back to my original question, do you have any idea how much that
So,
would benefit
in the
Crofton?
pie chart, the $25 million estimate all goes to school districts. The actual specific amount that will go to Crofton depends on the number of wind turbines within your school district.
Do you have an idea?
So we have rough layouts right now, but I could say, it'd probably be close to a third.
So it'd be fair to say $30 to $25 million.
Yes. Rough estimate. I can't say, in fact, it ultimately depends on how many folks sign up the northern portion of the project versus the southern portion of the project. And you have to consider all the setbacks that are in place as well too. But if you just look at the layout, it's kind of an equal split between the school
We
districts.
had pretty good reception for
signing up in across.
Yeah, there's plenty of folks this year that have signed up. I think a lot of them have wind, they have land within the existing wind farms and want to have more land. That's a new wind farm as well too.
But does not every person in this community pay Cedar Knox public power for their electricity, right? We do. So it is directly affecting us, right? The windmills directly will affect our, yeah, and
So
our.
the power from the windmills goes to Cedar Knox Public Power? No, is the answer.
Well, we buy, we, Cedar Knox, we just distribute. We don't go out and buy power from this one company. We buy our power from MPPD, that's the public power.
So does the power from the windmills go to NPD?
It can be anywhere.
So
If you get that,
we don't.
the easiest way to explain electricity, I guess, you think of the water. And you got this water line, and all these people are feeding off. And now you got spots in there that are feeding into it. So to say that water right there went to Crofton, and that water there went to Bloomfield, it's just its own degree.
So it's hard to say where it originated, but it
Yeah,
all
I mean,
gets
to say
mixed
that
together and dispersed.
this is green energy, with some of them, all pay more for green energy. I mean, it's just, it's energy. So the lines are energized. So now you're Crofton drawing energy off that line. I'm drawing energy off that line. And Cedar Knox's job is to keep those lines energized. And we buy our power from NPPD to do that.
Sure, okay.
So I mean, it's.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so, Cedar Knox, we don't buy power from these guys or the dam. We do receive power from the dam. We receive it from these other wind farms. We receive it from probably Gerald Gemman in a way, or any of the ones around. I mean,
Thank
they're
you.
all hooked into the line, feeding that line, which everybody draws.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
you better just.
One thing that we need to think about, and that is Virginia Tech toot their horn about getting storage for power, and they're coming along with it. I mean, I've watched that for a bit, and if they ever got to the point where they could battery some of that power when the wind was blowing, to offset when the need was there, whether it's solar or that's why we can harvest some awful cheap energy. That's coming down the road. We're talking about in Texas, my son's the senior electrical engineer at Rice University in Texas. And in Texas, they're starting to use some of that and working with that with storage. So when we get to that point, it will explode. And when it does, it's going to be kind of nice to be able to generate power and have something that slides you through and the sun ain't shining or the wind ain't blowing.
Thank you. Thank
Right?
you.
I just think we're gonna see a lot of people, and you guys talk some awful big numbers. People are gonna spend money in these towns. They're gonna spend money in these towns, they're gonna bring back into our towns. We might not have a tower right outside of Crofton, but if these people are out in our area, they're gonna spend money. We're gonna see a
Well,
revenue.
I think that there would be that, but then there's also going to be the negative aspect of the traffic and the construction complaints and the process. So, I mean, there's good and bad with any project. Yes. And there's people that are going to be for it, and people that are against it.
Thank you for this.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you.
Telling us that,
What's that?
giving us the heads up on it. I said, I haven't heard.
They're probably tired of us.
No, I'm not there. I haven't talked to anybody in our community about
Get
it.
some homework done.
There you go.
Sounds like you need to start saying Crawford a bit more.
Thank you.
Spend a lot of time down the office.
Thank you, guys.
Leave you to the meeting, but thank you, everyone. Feel free to give me a call if you have other questions too. Good night.
I guess we can vote to do that, not do that. We could have a public hearing, or we could have table and get time to gather that information.
I need to gather more information.
Yeah.
I'm reading the Silver Road,
Right?
it's not in my backyard, but it doesn't affect me at all. But
does affect me as a money that's going to come to our community. I try to create about how much money we look at, maybe if they build new elementary.
But nobody is going to be living here that's building.
No,
They would travel around
No.
each site.
No, they- that's what
There's not
they
going to
do.
be kids moving. here.
Actually, these guys have hired a contracting firm, whoever that would be, they would come and build it, and they go back, then they would go next one in Texas.
Yes.
So that's all they do.
But they'll be
But
fighting.
they'll be here for a year. I think when the windmill went up, right after they built the hotel, it was pretty much a full worker for a year.
And there'll be 5 to 10 permanent employees.
Yeah, Casey Wright and Ralph Workshop, the one now, right? Yeah, I
And
don't think
Lois
else is
did.
now working for, but it's, like I said, but it's not my guy, right? So,
And if their office in the Wausau, those 5 to 10 employees, all like, in Wausau, we don't know. But we have the best school district in the county, maybe in the state, so maybe they'll, here, we don't know.
we'll see.
So we'll just table that letter of support, if that's what we, and gather further information. Okay, moving on to the next item of business would be the first item of business would be a pool update. I don't want to take anything away from Jamie, but Jamie and I spend time with, can't remember his name, from Burbach Aquatic Incorporated. Thanks to Jim's recommendation, Burbach is actually on the back of our legal municipalities folder that we have that we did when we held the meeting, and they're on the back there. And James encouraged me to give him a call. I reached out to him once and didn't get anything back, and then I called him the second time. The lady there apologized that she didn't return the call, but he actually was, they're out of Wisconsin and was in the area because they do pools. If you look in there, there's pools in Deerfield, South Dakota, in Albion, Nebraska, and so they have pool projects all around us. And he came to talk to us, take a look at the pool, and so I guess the thing that I want to know is, okay, after his initial conversation, is that where do we go from here? And I just, you know, I'm not, and Jamie asked me if am I person? No, it's not my place to throw J.O. out the window or whatever. That's what I'm not about. But, I mean, and we have agreed to a tentative, we have agreed to a pool plan as a council, but that was in 2021, and we don't know today what the real estimated costs are for a pool to move on, and we can't get an estimated cost until we pay Jake D.O. X number of dollars and say that they're going to be the project engineer. They won't give us a new set of dollar figures. Is that it?
Well, then I don't think Burback would either, right? Like, you have to
Right.
pay.
Right,
some
well,
money
they can't
upfront.
give us any idea until we go through phase 1. And if you look on page 19 or 20, it tells you, and that's why this is going to,
Well,
that's
there's
up to you.
$80,000 phase one we would pay them.
Right. And so, I don't know, I mean, who,
Phase one, step two is, step five is 26, is 20.
and I guess do we have to pay all phase 1, or can we do the feasibility study, which is the second part of that, and just pay for that portion of it, or we buy in the whole $80,000 when we do phase 1, is phase 1 complete, or after we do the feasibility study, then can we get an estimated cost of what's going to be from there, or it costs us $80,000?
And you know, the money that we're supposed to spend, it's the end of next year, right?
September of 2025.
Yes. So that money can be used for the feasibility studies.
What is our sales tax one?
It did already.
So how much money do we have there?
It hasn't been long.
86,000, we got a pool.
No, monthly, from the half cent, what do we get?
73.
Well, we get on 1%, we get $100,000.
A year?
73,000.
So it ain't hard to figure out, 100,000 divided into 12, that's what we get. On a yearly basis, on 1%, so you cut it in half, it's half percent, right?
Okay.
And how many things are straight?
Yeah, but how much is it
It
now?
I think it started June 1st.
So we probably have $7,000 at the high end.
I'll just be honest with the council here. We need to move forward and we can't sit on our heels. We have to move on. We can't be,
I agree.
we can't because the bank was talking to me about it the other day and he was a little upset. I said, wait, I can't say anything until we come to this council. We cannot sit our heels. He's worried that we ain't gonna have no money for our down payment, 153 or 100.
Let's get back to what we're gonna do then.
Well, that's not the issue. He was concerned that we didn't have.
Let's just go moving forward. We don't need to talk about everything so in depth. We need to make a decision and step forward. Are we gonna do this, guys, or are we gonna go back to JEO?
JEO is our one that we elected to be our consultant, correct? We all agree. I don't know if all
No,
you.
we have to renew our contract with them. Our contract with them is no longer in effect.
So what's the?
Yes, I printed out the new contract a few meetings ago. A few meetings ago, I printed out the contract that they sent me and gave it to everyone. It's $200,000. And no, that's with all, that's their general contracting fees, right?
But what did we have any idea what we paid for the county? And is there
I
a
don't
limit
know.
on?
It was
how long
before
the
me, I
contract
think.
is?
41.
Huh?
We already have $41,000 in initial plans that we had.
Or do we have a contract with them?
I don't,
Yes. I'm sure.
because we paid them $147 the other day, I still haven't figured out what that is.
Well, we were wrong when we had that schematic thing.
They charge us every time someone calls in.
Yeah, we got something, but I think here's what, I guess.
We do have plans and all that, and we can turn that over to them too. We can give them everything.
I guess that was my other question, like, and we can't take that to that, is that not nullified as one year in? Phase one?
Phase one?
They're gonna wind it down, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, they brought up the fact that the pool might be in the flood zone.
I'm sure it is. No, I find out they might be no way to change the regulation.
We had.
With that
we had-
creek being right there.
We could have done.
Yeah.
Back when we were.
City did. Federal came out.
Yeah, I looked at the Knoxville PSI, it's not on there, but I'm not saying this, that it's not.
Forgive me, not, is that an issue?
Yeah, they would build it or can't insure it. Yeah, it was an issue. They said if it is in the flood zone, we'll have to build it up. Or move it to a new location out of the flood zone.
That's the problem, right? There's no other location the city has. Maybe it's support.
And that, I think, will be in these phase one studies, right?
You're right, yeah. But part of the phase one study is, if you look at it, is they got to inspect the pool when it's empty. So that means we're in September before, but he did say, hey, to us, May 2026, we have a pool. Right? That was the
He
timeline
said
gave
that
us.
was an ambitious schedule. There's on page 26, there's a work plan, a tentative timeline. Yes, and it, on the phase one, the second part, it says August, September, inspect pool vessel empty.
Right.
I feel so much better if they give us those, leave the ball, because they want to do that, they want to do the ball. So we could do all this, and their number could be $3 million.
What did he did give us a number. He said they did some, recently, they replaced the whole pool, and it wasn't the liner. It was about that size, maybe was it twice that size? Twice that size?
Twice that.
And they replaced the whole pool, and it was between 3 and 5 million. But they have prices in here too, there's some of these pools.
Yeah, that was really what I was doing before we got, I was kind of looking, they're all pretty elaborate, and they're all really, really nice.
And the one closest, like the West Wyoming, which would be comparable to a pool, that's 10 years
Yeah, I was looking for
dates, right, I didn't see anything that was.
2023 or
in our
24.
size wise. You know, Fullerton is bigger than Hoffman, not tremendously bigger, but they're $4 million in 2020. And so ours went from $680 to where we are now in the last 4 years.
He was talking about how our pump and mechanics were, it's well past their life expectancy.
And currently we can't do anything about this, not much way, we're not ADA compliant in our current pool setting. And
And if we were to be inspected, we would have to remedy that. Because you have to have a toilet and a shower, and it is in when it's in a roll-in, and you have to be like 6 foot so you can get a wheelchair in, and we have like a little concrete,
Barrier,
yes.
zip around there.
and there has to be a water barrier between this outside of the pool, rainwater, drain system. So there's lots of things to, why we need to do more. But I mean, this guy will come talk to us, he was in town about this, tell me what you want to do, because like you both, everybody mutually agree, we gotta do something, because, I don't want to.
What, so JEO's, what was that number again? 200,000. What does that consider? That anything to do with the pool structure itself? Or that's just a fee to them to
That's
stay
part
on the
of
property?
getting bids for contractors.
Yeah, I remember talking to Mike Stevens about that. He was shocked that we would have to do another contract if we had. But I'd like to find a contract, have my read it, and see if there's a 5-year window that you get to act within so many years before we proceed. I'd also like, again, if I'm getting, I think a project this size, you need more than one bid. You know, if it costs us $20,000-$30,000, you know, it is.
Yeah, and so we did that initially with the pool versus the liner versus, there was another company.
Yep.
But that was 2021 is when it came to JEO and the liner. I mean, I at that time, but I'm not, I mean, we're 3 years removed from that. And this is, we didn't have these, this wasn't part of that deal. I've never seen anywhere documentation that Burdock was ever part of that. But they're doing stuff all around us, and like you said, I mean, it would be ignorant for me not to call him.
Yeah.
And he was very excited about the opportunity to work with us, so
I would really hope they come in and say, yeah.
and until they do their $80,000 or whatever it is preliminary phase one study, we don't know what they're gonna come up with either.
And it
No.
depends on the integrity of our concrete of the pool, existing pool too, because they put the liner in that concrete, right? So that's why they have to inspect it when it's empty, to see if it's leaking or.
The whole pool was getting done.
No. Our approved plan is to line the big pool and add a walk.
Right. The whole pool, they have to tear it all out to do it all. Well, then the liner's only $10,000. I remember hearing that was $20,000. So what's the other 1.8 million for?
Taking out the cement and attaching the
Yeah.
zero entry into the other part of it. The picture is,
But
The
take out,
baby
what do you
pool
mean
will
by
be
take out
gone.
the cement?
The baby
You
pool
got
will be
plus
gone.
four, right.
And that'll be a 0 entry,
Right,
which is
yeah, I
actually
assumed the
ADA.
whole thing is getting
no,
No. And then all of this, like the skirting around the pool, that concrete is all needs to be replaced.
Right.
It's pretty much all, you know, all the company.
Yes. Well, then the pool itself is concrete, right?
Yep.
that's the construction part of it's the blue part of it, the liner part of it's the rest of it.
There's a drain.
So that little construction part is $1.2 million?
And busting into the other pool, well, if you look at that, it's $680,000 at that time when that was started in 2021.
So now that, just that piece, the size of this table, $1.2 million.
Well, it's gonna be huge. I mean, it's not gonna be huge, but the zero entry is gonna be tremendously bigger than it is right now. But yes, yes.
Okay, here's what you're gonna do. Make the baby pool,
I know what they're gonna do, I
Zero
understand it, I assume it was.
put concrete in there,
Thing.
put the liner, replace all the concrete around the whole pool. We're gonna have to do something for that house.
Well, it's gonna all come down. We got
All the
heaters gotta come out,
mechanics,
the plumbing got-
mechanical.
Then all the plumbing have to come out?
Yes,
Yes.
all the plumbing
Oh,
has
yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
It's 30 years past its life expectancy.
Oh, I understand that, but the thing fills up with water every year. I thought we were putting like drain piles and stuff outside.
It fills up with water because he said that's the issue. Because there's cracks in the concrete and it's on the water table, like pushes the water
Right.
into the pool.
I was fully listening to what I did. I'm just shocked that was
Well,
we just put a road in, going down, it ain't gonna be a big.
Remember when I was a kid, we got a pool in
What's
our
that?
backyard and it was 25,000.
I just had a fine for one for 68,000.
Where? Ask him what company.
I go to, that's the bunker, I think.
Ask him what company they use.
Okay, I will find out.
I mean, there's a pool place in Sioux Falls.
I mean, am I out of line thinking that's a lot of money for tearing out that baby pool and putting a zero entry in? Because I do remember line was only $10,000. They said we could replace it every 10 years for 10 years.
right.
And I know there's some heat going on, I know there's this, and I know there's some other stuff going on.
Why don't you call your client and see who did their pool in Fremont, and I'll
Okay.
call the place in Sioux Falls.
Okay, let's do this thing.
This is gonna be paying half, most of the our bill here is gonna be architects.
I know that's,
And
that's
engineers,
another
all
issue.
that, yeah.
Why do we need that?
Did Dale not do that?
They're just an engineer. They don't even do pools, they're
But-
engineers.
Burback can't use Dale's,
They, and what?
they can't use Dale's architecture information, they gotta use their own.
They're their own architects, architects and engineers. I can just call you.
Yeah. I was a big back.
Sorry. I really don't read it.
The mechanical part of the pool
Okay.
is $215,000.
Okay.
Right. That's just mechanical, and the structural part is $300,000, and site work, which I'm ignorant to that. But anyway, that's where I came up with the original cost of without the bathhouse of the $680,000. $690,470.
Now we're up to what, do you remember what the last one?
Well, 1.4 is a 1 million, right? Yeah, 1.4.
And that did not include that,
Right.
so we did double.
This bathhouse here in 2021 was only estimated, was at $675,000. We could have bought a bathhouse there then, and now that same bathhouse is estimated at $800,000.
$800,000. So that house went up $200,000, pool went up
That's
$600,000. I know stuff's going up. That still seems like a lot of, but back to Jason's original comment, yeah, but we're still gonna, we got to pay video $200,000. The impact on the project. I agree that, do you have any idea if we have a contract with video?
Everything I've seen with them, I can't find an end date on it. I cannot find the contract that has.
You want to call video tomorrow and send us that contract, they'll keep a copy of it.
Yep.
We need to get that over to Mike, have him review it, to see, I think we'll make some calls tomorrow, but I think that's what they.
Donna, you should have a set of schematics in that office, in our files.
I actually thought I gave them to you
We should-
last.
We should have that, it shows everything they're gonna do on every point of the pool.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob does have it there.
No, it's more in depth than that, it's about this stuff.
Oh, okay.
I remember seeing it,
Yeah.
and I think we have it in the office, and it shows every page, every aspect we're gonna do on the walk, zero entry, everything else we have.
It says every
And mechanical.
valve and pump and everything.
Everything, the mechanical pump, the heater, everything was in it.
You know, on top of that, if you're just gonna tear out the baby pool and put it into room, I have a hard time believing that takes a year, or all summer. You think you could do that in a month?
Yeah, and that's why he did say,
He's building the street in a week, all we're doing is tearing out a hole,
yeah,
filling it with cement and some pipes.
I don't know, but he said, and he did start saying, well, you're pretty aggressive with that, but he did say that May 2026, Vermont would have a pool. You know, maybe barring a 20-year flood, or 100-year flood again, where you can't possibly get down there to do what we need to do, they would have it.
If we start spending the money before September 25, at least it's showing progress.
Right,
That's what we need to do.
right.
Well,
We need to get things moving in the right direction.
let's get hold of the, get the contract, they're gonna have a copy of it.
All right.
Get it to Mike. We'll make some calls around, see if there's anybody else out there.
JDO thinks that we work for them instead of they work for us.
Yeah,
And so,
That is the problem I'm having right now.
so just Verbach, I would just, what do you want me to do with them, because?
Just hang tight,
All right,
just hang tight.
all right.
Let's make some calls.
I really don't wanna wait another whole month before we do that. I hope we have another meeting in between this next month, so we can at least progress with something. Cause our months are gonna go by us and we're gonna sit there again.
But no matter what we're gonna do, you're right, we wanna get somebody, but Larry, or the bank, can't give us a loan until they have
The number
a real thing, like,
of the whole pool.
And JEO won't give us a number till we.
They're holding us hostage, is all they're doing.
right, so I'm just like,
Like that.
Okay,
Bound.
let's do this, let's get the copy of the contract, get it to Mike, have him read it, see if there's anything in it that holds him bound to that first contract. Maybe, I'm just shocked.
because I've seen the $41,000 plan, they were here, I don't know before you, but the council, each one of us had a copy at one point in time,
Yeah,
of
I remember that.
a 30-page deal, 20-page deal of every valve, every hose, every yard of concrete, blah.
Every corner of that pool was.
Right, yep. Okay,
And I might be able to find one, and I'll have to look for my files.
but you're right, James, the whole thing's just, it's just
They're holding us hostage.
overwhelmingly, like,
I mean, I'm looking at these pool projects, and these are competing pool projects for $3 million. We're just changing ours a little bit, taking out the baby pool, and putting zero interest, is $1.2 million.
yeah. And the hard part about that is I wonder if what that $3,000 deal in 2020 is worth now. I mean, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, what is that value now?
Not twice as much.
Right. So this is,
They came here a number of different times. Dave Hankey was here, and none of you guys are on the board. Jim, I think you were at one time.
because he's the guy that said.
And that gal was there too.
Okay.
And there was a pool committee sitting right out there, and a bunch of people, had 7 or 8 people on the pool committee. And they had different ideas, and them guys were coming back and forth. Didn't know, and I went to a couple of them, Don Mink and I went to a couple of the park pool committees, and nobody could come up with a definite plan. Everybody wanted, some people wanted barbecue grills, some people wanted these big, canopies, some people wanted a big curly word slide. So, you know, we had a lot of different ideas, and JEO just, they didn't know what the hell to do anymore. You know, they were drawing stuff up. We paid them something out of Cedar Security Bank when they had some money in there. But Dave Hankey does not work there anymore. He passed it on to this Andrew, whatever his name is.
So what are we gonna, what's our plan going forward?
That's what I'm.
Make some calls, get the contract to Mike, have Mike read the contract, get the original contract. from JEO.
You're doing that?
I'll make some calls, talk to my friends and what's in that hole.
And then, so,
I'll call that for,
Okay,
is it
but-
Splash City or why can't
I'll
that?
visit with you tomorrow then, and then we'll probably do maybe a special meeting and we can do just to get the ball.
If we need to, vote to move forward with this plan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess-
just
But
table it for now.
before we citywide cleanup day, do we, I guess there's a price in here.
$1,000 a dumpster. That's about $1,000 a load.
Is that what it comes out to roughly, a grand a load?
Depending upon the weight, right? You know,
Well, that's maxed out, 9 tons.
okay.
So and I agree with you, it would max out, it wouldn't take long to pull it.
You'll have, just like last time, you'll have 6 of them down there and they'll all be full of junk laying all over.
Yeah, they won't put it inside, they lay it outside.
And the hard part of it is it's kind of really exclusive what they can put in there.
Yeah.
It's limited, so, I mean, Dustin is really busy, but we have Dave now to help out. If we had a citywide cleanup day where people could bring branches, right, to their curb, and we pick them up, because we normally, and there are people that don't, there's only a few people that don't, but as a gesture that are not.
I think everybody knows somebody with a pickup.
I don't know what the point of the city would be, like, are there particular people that need help cleaning or?
You ever gone down the Yankton about a month ago, it just tracks along the curb.
That's the Yankton swapping, but yes,
Yeah, but they do a citywide cleanup, and the city comes around with their little, they take it all for free. But it's like old mattresses, crap.
the same sofas got 7 different intersections in the last 10 years.
I mean, in Yankton, the city of Yankton will take it.
Right.
You just don't pay the $10 for them to take it. So they just sit on it, so the city comes back to you, and then, trust me, and then you see people going through, grabbing stuff, putting it back in the truck and driving away. It's a,
So how does that benefit the city?
I don't think it's, you know, I said I
It's just
support
a way
you.
to clean up town, I think. And gives them an excuse to get rid of their junk.
You think it's a good?
Provide the
No,
service.
not really.
Okay.
What if we say, if you need help removing tree branches, call the city, and like, if there's somebody that is unable to, maybe we can help somebody specifically at a certain time versus.
We live in a small community, and you see some old lady out, you just walk over with your cane, like, put it in your truck, take it away. I mean, I've done it, people do it all the time.
What we did before we did trees and lawn, Tip had over 100 bags, black garbage bags, she picked up every morning. But then you can't take the black garbage bag and fill it in the dump, so she had to cut every one multiple dump and stuff out there. But that's what she did, that's what her city did at that point in time. They got branches and bags of debris, they were using more garbage, or not garbage, but on people's lawns. So that's what it was before. And it's a lot. Okay. So we're gonna go with, what do you want to do, scrap it?
I would.
So we need a motion, it's not gonna happen, right? Okay. Next item, old business, property sales. I think that was, well, we wanna go into closed session and talk about what we have first, right? So we're gonna move that down, to have information for everybody about that property sale. So we wanna move that property sale down until after we get to the closed session?
Yeah, and it is in property sales,
Okay, all right,
or
sorry.
in closed session, yeah, so
Okay.
skip that
All
part.
right, good. So in the media specialist, I had a, I don't know whether you heard of it, but a company called the Next Level Media Promotion.com, which was highly recommended by school administration in 2 towns, has a website, www.thenextlevelmp.com. And you should go look at their stuff. They have pricing. I just got it and didn't get copies of it or whatever, but they have different, they have like a base package, which is a couple $100, and it goes all up to the green world's greatest package, which is like $5,000 a month, but that was for like major corporations and stuff like that. So you want to look at that and then
Where are they from? Where are
It
they from?
says in Nebraska,
yeah, yeah. Mr. Pierce, I think it worked. I'm pretty sure. But Mr. Rogers saw the minutes of our city council meeting and he said, I have a solution to your problem.
who said that?
Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
And he said, these people do this, they specialize in whatever, so, did you find it at the next level? And okay.
here's,
Yeah, if you can just share that with everybody, it would be please, and we'll look at that. And then we'll table it the next time, unless you want, is that all right, so you have time to look it over? We'll put it back on the agenda for next time? Okay. Just go ahead and take a look at that, see what you think, and what package you want to have. But in seeing what they have and offer, the 10 minutes I had to devote to it, my former student from the bar does not have that level of expertise at this point in time. So this would, for us, is a much better option. And with her schedule or whatever, I think we would do better off.
I think we should do it.
What level would you like to do it at? There's multiple levels.
We could maybe start with, where do you see the levels?
Maybe I can show you.
I sent it to everybody, so go to your phone and see it.
I have an email.
Jalen, the co-founder, he's a tech whiz. Tech whiz.
What is his,
Jalen.
who would he send, or what would he have sent me that? I got it back. Oh, I will, let me get into it.
Services.
Well, there's two things. There's like taking care of, you just whenever you have something, picture or whatever, something, and promotes it, doing like that. And then there's website stuff. Here's Jay here. Okay. And I'm gonna forward this to all of you.
I think we need website refresh, right? We need help with our Facebook.
Is it the 67 one game or I don't know.
That one works, it's not mine.
And then,
I can call them tomorrow.
okay, but actually I sent it to you. There's two. There's social media prices and then websites pricing chart. That comes with your PDF out. And the base package starts at $350 a month, I'm sorry, and it goes up to $2,000.
I make a motion to start with the base package and go from there.
Okay, so I'm gonna go reach out to these people, the next level, and tell them that we want to start with the bronze package base level.
Yes, well, we all need both.
Okay, hold on. Is that, we have the motion? And the second?
Yep.
So that would make it Miller,
Yes.
Murphy? Yes. Price? Water?
Yes.
Okay, so it's on. Okay, next thing is the pool at the camera. I think the bid is in there. It's a light. Yeah, we have multiple cameras at the pool. And there was a request for, and last year we were asked not to do this by patrons and I don't know who else, but anyway, not to have cameras there, but Nicole is not opposed to it, but it would be adding a camera which is on the pool itself.
So there's multiple cameras at the pool now?
Right now there's two cameras.
One by the catch,
It's done by the pool, where the liability thing
that's
comes
not the
from.
parking lot.
Why would you do that?
I didn't know that.
What?
We didn't have a camera on the pool.
I never thought we did that.
We need a camera on the pool.
Well, Nicole wants it for liability, and last year they didn't want it no matter what, because then it was like, because the people that could view that, obviously, could be portrayed, could have potential to be,
I think our law enforcement had concerns about
right.
child video footage. Yes, so
Yeah,
that,
I just assumed for liability issues,
And that's what Nicole is CYA.
that's where we had, but I understand that side of it too, but.
And we did have the parking lot issue last year, like I was on the parking lot before that man was, the young lady was, and then, so the other one is in the office area, right? And then we have another camera which is at the city, that one, and then there's one at the city building. So it's-
there's one at the parking lot at the pool.
Yeah.
Why don't we just turn that one around and put it on the pool? I mean, after one incident.
What is this problem?
What?
Think you were running into a
parents ain't gonna want their kids to be, I just don't believe that. That's my views.
I'm fine leaving it as is.
There's some people that don't want their kids because on the.
In asking,
Let me check games out tomorrow. I don't think there's much stuff in there. Get cameras.
Every
See what
pool
they
has
have.
cameras. Where are your, on their pool?
And, you know,
most towns have cameras on their.
Well, but if they're doing it, I don't see why we wouldn't want to do it. That's really right about.
And what about the Summit Center? I wonder if they have
Yes.
They have cameras,
I don't think we
everywhere in
need
the
a
Summit Center.
parking lot. I mean, one incident happened there, I don't.
Yeah.
The point is to keep track of the money and credibility for workers, and the other point, the main point is
Liability.
safety and liability.
Safety and liability, yes. I agree with Amy, to turn the one around on the parking lot. I mean, that would
We can't be turned around. It would have to be moved.
We can relocate it.
relocate that one on the
Okay,
parking
so
lot.
we'll reach out
And
to.
I'll definitely check the Summit tomorrow on if we can. I mean, if they're doing it, that's the biggest concern, if something occurs.
So we'll reach out.
Which I thought was why we were, the whole point of having the camera.
That's why we did it. My bad. I've learned a lot tonight. Well, cool.
Well, actually, was a request to have it removed from the office, because I did last year 3 times say, hey, there's somebody laying on the counter in the office, again. And then, so, well, how do you know that? I'm not staring at the camera going, well, one time I was in the office and I said to, hey, look at your computer, they're mapping on the counter where people come and check in. So I called, and our pool manager that time said, no, I was just there, that's not happening. And then just in minutes or something, then that person wasn't laying there anymore. That's what they got texted. But anyway, so we'll relocate that camera. Please, that's okay. Do you need a motion to do that, or you pay to do that? or- Okay. We'll relocate that camera. All right. Okay. Next thing, economic development, Knox County Economic Development meeting. I missed the last one, but they have a special one on June 18th because the budget has been changed for Knox County Economic Development, and they don't know what services they're gonna be able to keep. So I need to go there to, so we're gonna have to go there again and see what they can do. But the commissioner, like, so we'll see what we can do. Okay, planning and zoning, I don't think we have any thing there, do we? Do I know? All right. Next thing will be city clerk report.
Christine Miller, the only one here. I just want to say that I want to thank Marlene and Chantel for picking up the office when I had to be away last week, and they did a great job, and I just want you to know that they really did. Also, we have to keep reminding people about the new rules on the garbage trucks. Totes have to be out by the curb, have to be turned around a certain way. They're not taking any extra garbage. So just
What is that
trying.
for?
That's actually June 3rd it started.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they have to be, and it has to be, yeah, they have to be 6 feet away from anything, so they don't hit anything with them as they pick them up. And that little handle that's on the front, the door opens this way, and that's in front, that has to be towards the street. And they have to be out by 5 a.m. Not the handles out where you push it down.
No.
Yeah, the tires in the back.
Worse than what you
Yeah,
would think.
tires in the back, yeah, the other in the front. Okay. Also, we just had the inspection on the pool. We have to have a lock, a self-lock on the kiddie pool. It's actually closed right now because of that. The state inspector closed us up on that. Couple of other things that we were, there was something that we needed in the first aid kit, or I've already ordered the stuff for that. We'll get that, we'll be in compliance with that. But Dustin did order the latch for that. Has to automatically latch when a kid goes through it, so that another kid doesn't come out as one goes in. And so we just had to close the kiddie pool. The stuff will be here real quick, so we'll get it back over. So, other than that, everything, a webpage.
The webpage is, I had to, as you know, I had to do a new thing for it. I got on it after I got back, and it's now the first one on. If you go to Crofton webpage, it is now our webpage that comes up on the top. So Google finally got it up where we wanted, so a little bit of help there, so. That's it, thank you.
Donna, I'm confused about our water bill. So I'm on the automatic pay thing, but I still get this little email saying, you need to pay your payment.
Well, at the, and it should, at the top, it should show that you paid, it's
By
at,
bank.
yeah, it's by, the fifth. The money comes out by the fifth. I send you a bill so you can, if it's wrong or you don't like it, you have discrepancy, you can tell me before we take the money out.
I'm
Easier.
confused by that, because no, I have a lot of automatic payments.
Yeah.
Like electricity, I don't get anything from that.
Well, we did it so in case there, because we do have problems with the readings, they're sometimes wrong, or you have a discrepancy, just so you can see it before we take the money out. If we take the money out and there's a problem, we have to give it back, that's much harder in our bookkeeping than if.
So it's common to have problems with the water or discrepancies with the water bills?
No, not common, but happens. It happens. Sometimes I'm reading that people used 40,000 gallon of water last month, so something happened. I actually have one client that I got Dustin watching that uses 400 and they have a large family. Something's wrong there.
400 gallons?
Yeah, 400 gallons a month. So we're watching that. So it's just a way for you to say, oh my gosh, I use that much water, maybe I did something wrong. But yeah, we.
I'm
like to see
confused
it.
every time, I'm like,
Yeah.
am I supposed to pay this, are they not?
No, but I actually have people that don't want to save it. They've asked me not to send one. If you don't want.
I don't
it,
wanna save it,
one.
I'm too confused.
How are we coming on that?
Really great on the collections, we're doing pretty good. I did, I have to get after a couple, today, told them I'd have to have payment by Monday, or we'd have to shut the letter off. I didn't hear back from them, but we'll see Monday what happens. But I still have to call a few, but they're all pretty good about making payments.
Did the issue
So is there
with,
still some outstanding ones there?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Some of them were very, very large, and what we decided to do was they have to pay what they owe this month plus $25 to $50 more to pay on the arrears. So it goes slow, but I've actually had several that are all paid up, so it's working. It's working.
did the issue get resolved at everybody's happiness that we had where there was a homeowner, a renter, then the renter moved out and homeowner was stuck with the.
We still have not got the payment, and it went through Mike and showed that they owe the amount and they're supposed to pay, but we've not received it.
So when the sewer lagoon comes in, I talked to Mr. Reed Miller, I remember, that $5 million that we got allowed for our sewer lagoon. Out of that $5 million, there's gonna be new water meters for every household.
Yes.
So how do we make the transition? You got, let's say I had $3,000 water bill, and you get a brand new one, it shows zero zero. We're gonna have to have things paid up.
It won't show 0, 0. We'll take the last reading whenever they change them, just like we change them out now. What, he reads it when he changes it. So I have what you used at that point, and then when he goes back to read it then on the time, that's added to it then. So if it showed you used 400, but previously you already used 1,200, then I do 1,600
But I think
is what
that
you
water
use.
meter will probably be the last thing, last leg of the sewer lagoon.
Yeah.
That'll be the last thing.
And he does, he not only was the money for the meters, but the money for changing them out was in there too.
Right.
Okay, just, all good?
Yep.
Thank you very much, and I don't know if you know or not, but Donna did lose her brother last week. Then, okay, so head maintenance, Dustin's not here, but I did have a request again, and so I need to know, do you want speed bumps on Sharon Street? The average cost is about, and I didn't do a lot, we just put some, about $25 a foot, a linear foot for a speed bump.
Can they be put in?
Yes, the school does it, they put theirs in, they have to run and do the run, and then they pull them back out again, but it's a pain. It's not it's, okay, it's not fun, and then if you do, how many hours do you want to invest?
Cross?
after the stop sign going west through there, I mean, that's really the long stretch. That's right. The one that's long, that's a 40 mile. And I've been up there and met you there. There's a lot of kids in that street. They gotta be 20 kids, plus that daycare on that street. There's a ton of kids.
There's a lot of kids on that street. There's,
Let's do it.
Make a motion for two
two sets of,
Definitely.
sets.
Did you second that, Jim?
I did.
and then Murphy?
Yes.
Height? Lauren?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, code enforcement, David's not here, I don't know if he's already where they need to be.
No, not too much.
Okay, and I know we have not made yet, and
Oh, yes, he did, I'm sorry. They're actually working on the trailer court, they're having a lot of trouble. Cedar Knox is after us, they're bringing in 70-foot trailers now, where they used to be 50 and 60, and they are hanging over the easements, they're hanging over our water lines, they're hanging over the electric lines, and he has been with that, and he's actually gonna meet with John tomorrow, John Zedidil, and the owner of the thing. They need to survey it. They're actually hanging over the Crofton elevator.
I'm really concerned about it and what the city to
Yes, yes.
Because that's an issue with the power.
Oh, it's a big issue, and for the gas company too. They're actually just hanging over that. If they have to tear up anything, they've got a house sitting over top of it. So,
And those are the
Who
new
owns that?
trailers. Well, that's too bad.
yeah.
They brought in new nice ones.
I mean, it really cleaned up, they took that old one out, moved a bunch of trees out.
It's called Dakota something. It's Matt Archer owns it along with Alex. Archer has 51%, Alex still owns 49% of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a major issue.
One of the things they're looking at is they can actually move the houses up, but he'll have to put a new road in the middle if they're going to be close to the road. There is, we need 10 feet for our easement.
Yep.
That's part of our thing too. So they're going round and around, and we've denied 2 permits for putting them in because they're just, yeah. And unfortunately, they've moved them in and they've already sold 2 of them. So the council is probably at some point going to have to act on this, what they want to do about it.
Well, let's see if we can hash it out.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, did anybody hear back from Mike or anything for the property, condemning that particular home that we were talking about? Okay, all right, so I took it upon myself and went back and got the obituaries from those families from the past years, of the obituaries, and I found a list of 6 family members that are still living, and I've not yet reached out to all of them. I don't know exactly if you want me to or not. To reach out, what I wanted your permission to do is to Mike, if it's okay with you, Mike to draft some kind of document that I can go around and get all 6 of them to sign off on. They don't want anything to do with it anymore, and they're releasing it to the city, sign it, get somebody, whatever they notarize it, so we can get that thing in their possession and get it taken care of.
I can have that ready.
Yes. But I don't know
What did you ask?
if it's the one on Main Street.
Main Street.
Oh, yeah. Next to
Congregation
J.W.
Church.
The white one with the green.
Right.
Do we still have a board of health that can condemn houses?
We used Will Sanger on that with.
Lori Cabanis Landers?
Yep.
And at one point, I wrote a letter condemning the house when I worked at the.
And Will said everything was just going great, and then COVID hit everything back.
Can we appoint a board of health?
I think we should, and I think I'm not sure how we do that. I don't know how they even do that. The city just.
It's not in one of our normal, I'm not assuming that we have a board of health.
Let me call Will tomorrow and find out how they got in.
That was the house by the baseball, where the gazebo is now.
Yes. Yes.
But he was part of planning and zoning, right?
I don't know, cause I didn't ask him, but he called.
He was on
me tomorrow
P&Z.
with Lambert.
But I think it's probably a good idea to contact those people. Or, write a letter.
To those
bill to
people.
all of the families.
Yeah, I know every one of them, I can find the physical address. The one in Lowell, I was just, Linda, I drive to the house and just, hey, you know, this is going on. They've openly said that they don't want anything to do with it anymore, but I need somebody to sign off on this, and say, hey, you know, okay, we want to do something. Is it okay as a city to do it? But I just
And
want,
could you please notify maybe your siblings,
I
or
just
get me there?
want your commission, I'm pretty busy, but I would, because I want that taken care of, I take it upon myself to ask Mike to write some kind of document that says this is a legal way to do this, and that I can do it. Is that something that you want me to do?
I would.
I'll try. I'm making promises, but I'll try to take care of that. Okay, other than that, on the pool management part of it, well, here it is that, of course, obviously, we had dramatic increases in pool wages in order to keep up with, the Joneses, for lack of a better word, right? But in our pool employee handbook, pool operators that have a pool operator license have 50% more salary than non-pool operators. So we have 3 people currently now that are at $17, 2 of which have a pool operator's license, 1 of them doesn't. They're veteran lifeguards, and that's what we set the salary at. The 2 that have the pool operator's license would like to get compensated for the 50 cents an hour that they have coming to them according to the handbook for having their pool operator license. So we would have to, if you want to do that, we'd increase those 2 to $17.50 versus 17. My brain says you just got a $3 an hour raise, and this is just really old time thing. Why are you worried about the 50 cents when you got $3? But they're comparing, they went through and took the class and have their certificate, and this one person doesn't have their certificate, so they should be getting paid more. And I understand that. I told them I'd bring it to you and let you decide what you want.
Don't agree with it, but if it's on paper, you pretty much gotta do it.
Although we could say that was included in their raise.
We need to
and
look
maybe
through
the
that
other
now, so we
person-
don't go through this every year. We need to make sure that we got something covered here.
You're right. I mean,
I agree with
I'm
you.
like you.
If they got a $3 raise,
Yeah. We can reword the pool handbook too for that raise.
The only thing that's included is that they're, like, it's not fair because they went through the classes and everything to get the 50 cents an hour raise, and the other one didn't, and they did.
They get paid the same.
They're all 17 now.
They all get paid the same.
Right. And they do.
They all got $3.
Yeah, and they all got $3 an hour raise because keeping up with the times and the heart, I guess, you know, we could have made it that, hey, to get $17 an hour, coulda, woulda, shoulda, you needed to have your operator's license. Those 2 with the operator's license make it so that if
why
they're
do
there.
they know how much the other person makes?
Because they're social beings, I don't know,
It's a public entity, everybody knows what everybody makes.
and they talk about it,
You know, we
obviously.
can't keep it a secret.
I don't know.
I think we need to address that next year. We've
Yeah, I
already
think, I
addressed the
agree.
pool
I think everybody
prices.
should pay it this year since it is in writing. I mean, you can't argue that we made that part. of
When
it.
did they get their operator's license? Did they have it when you hired them?
What do you think? Should we pay it this year? I mean, what are we talking?
That's $1 an hour.
50 cents an hour for a dollar between the 2 of them. And then they don't work, they work 30 hours a week for 6
$60 a week,
weeks, 180
$60
hours.
for the next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
That's just, and then make a note to address it next year.
In 2026. Next year, we're not gonna have it.
Well, we'll see.
So we're
They're all
gonna,
doing tender than entry.
we need a motion then.
I'll make a motion
So-
to
Honor.
pay
Honor
the
the 50
pool
cents.
people who are certified
50 cents
50
an hour.
cents a- and so we have to back pay them since the time of their certification.
They have received 2 checks, which Chantel and I did the math already to calculate what it's gonna be. Because we just, and we did, because that's your decision, it's not mine. But, all right. So we had a motion,
Oh, yeah.
Second.
all right,
What's this?
we're gonna vote for the 50 cent an hour increase into the 2 people that have, operator license in the pool, as written in the handbook.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know, all I gotta do is in there.
Motion by
Motion made by,
James,
seconded by Warnick,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Yes.
Pikes. Awesome. Heard it.
and where is this, pool handbook? I've never seen this pool handbook.
It's in our room, waiting.
Oh, okay.